Arachnophobia. This deep-seated fear of spiders and other arachnids is one of the most common phobias on the planet. Evolutionary psychologists believe it stems from our ancient ancestors who needed a quick survival response to venomous creatures lurking in the wild. The brain basically hardwired a biological alarm system to keep us safe. But honestly, it is a bit ridiculous today. Even a tiny, completely harmless house spider jumping out of a shoe can trigger a massive fight-or-flight response, making you feel like your life is actually in danger.
Acrophobia. The intense fear of heights goes far beyond just feeling a little dizzy when you look over the edge of a tall balcony. People experiencing this can suffer severe vertigo or full-blown panic attacks, even from relatively low heights, like climbing a stepladder or driving over a bridge. Interestingly, studies suggest it might actually be linked to a physical dysfunction in maintaining balance and spatial orientation. That means the brain is genuinely miscalculating the distance to the ground, creating a terrifying illusion of an endless drop. Claustrophobia. An overwhelming fear of confined or enclosed spaces can turn a simple elevator ride into a perceived death trap. It is categorized as an anxiety disorder that often develops after a traumatic childhood event, such as being accidentally locked in a small room or a closet. The defining trait is not actually the small space itself. It is the overwhelming, suffocating sensation of being restricted with no clear escape route. It triggers a primal, unstoppable urge to break free, completely hijacking your logical thoughts. Trypophobia. An intense aversion to clusters of small, irregular holes or bumps is a relatively recent psychological phenomenon to be heavily studied. It often triggers severe disgust rather than traditional fear, with people reacting strongly to completely normal things like lotus seed pods, honeycombs, or even aerated chocolate. You might wonder why a piece of chocolate would cause panic. Researchers propose that the visual pattern of these holes unconsciously reminds the brain of infectious diseases, skin lesions, or dangerous venomous animals. It is basically an ingrained biological warning system trying to keep you away from parasites. Thalassophobia. The profound fear of the ocean or deep, dark water is a massive phobia that is widely shared across the internet. It is not exactly about the water itself, but rather what lies hidden beneath the murky surface. It is a fear of the unknown vastness, the sheer crushing emptiness, and the terrifying unseen creatures that might be lurking just out of sight. This phobia perfectly highlights our deep human vulnerability. We are completely out of our natural element down there, making the deep blue sea feel like a hostile alien world waiting to pull us under.
Anatodophobia. The irrational fear that somewhere, somehow, a duck is watching you is one of the most peculiar conditions ever documented in human history. While it sounds entirely like a made-up internet joke, the underlying anxiety of being constantly observed or stalked is a very real psychological experience. It usually stems from a specific childhood trauma involving a goose or a swan. This creates an oddly specific trigger where the brain permanently associates the blank, unblinking stare of a waterfowl with an ever-present, lingering threat. So yes, somewhere, right now, a duck might be plotting your downfall. Nomophobia. The fear of being without a mobile phone or internet connectivity is a uniquely modern condition born entirely from our fast-paced digital age. The name itself is actually a clever portmanteau of no mobile phone phobia. It describes the intense physical agitation and cold sweat that kicks in the exact second your battery dies or your Wi-Fi signal drops. It perfectly reflects how deeply integrated and dependent on technology our daily lives have become. For many, losing their smartphone feels terrifyingly equivalent to losing a limb or being completely erased from society. Nyctophobia, an extreme fear of the dark or the night that is incredibly common in children, but often persists straight into adulthood. This condition is deeply rooted in the brain's natural perception of danger when it is suddenly deprived of visual input.
It basically lets your imagination run wild, turning every innocent bedroom shadow or random house creak into a threat. It actually dates back to prehistoric times, when nightfall brought genuine danger from deadly predators, leaving modern humans with a lingering evolutionary alarm that refuses to turn off.
Coulrophobia, an intense, irrational fear of clowns that is so widespread it heavily dominates modern horror movies and pop culture. Psychological research shows that the uncanny valley effect plays a massive role here. The heavy makeup, painted smiles, and exaggerated features completely mask the person's true facial expressions. Because your brain's recognition system cannot accurately read their actual intentions, it instantly defaults to suspicion. This turns what should be a harmless symbol of comedy into a genuine walking nightmare.
Hippopotamonstrosis-squipedaliophobia. The fear of long words ironically possesses one of the longest, most intimidating, and cruelest names in the entire English dictionary. This is a specific social phobia closely tied to a deep anxiety of public performance and embarrassment. People with this condition experience intense dread when faced with complex vocabulary, fearing they will mispronounce it and face immediate ridicule. It seems almost malicious that the medical term for this anxiety is literally 36 letters long. But overcoming it usually starts with breaking down those massive words into smaller, bite-sized pieces until the fear completely vanishes.